Greetings, we are live. Today we will look at to go to DraftKings and use their CSV, which is a comma separated value, to download okay, we're live. So today's video with the disclaimer, twager.com, we put out a roster. The roster has a lot of built-in intelligence and statistical information. We are doing that as a practice of how to use statistics and how to use spreadsheets and learning um, side hustles and statistical analysis, how to build websites and so forth. And we do not recommend that you um, use the rosters for anything other than um, friendly competition. So we'll go ahead and get that out there. Um, the rosters that we build at twager.com look like this. They're available at our website, twager.com. We'll be uploading the newest roster will be for it's actually complete at this moment. The Wyndham Championship. So we will typically what we'll do is we'll keep the Rocket Classic. We'll drop it down, and then we'll above the button for the Rocket Classic will be the Wyndham Championship. The 3M Open roster will disappear. So this is T-Wager here. You click on free roster download and you will get the lineup that we produce here, which this lineup humbly starts at the DraftKings website, which is the purpose of this video, is how to download a lineup. So for our statistical purposes and for your learning process, um, we get to the lobby, we click on golf. It brings up all the golf related, sometimes there'll be multiple tournaments. In this case, if you look right here on 8-6, the featured Wyndham Classic, there's also an LIV event next to it. We're not interested in that. Typically, I also click on this Classic button, which allows you to pick 6 golfers for a certain salary. Um, so we're interested in that. We're interested in the Classic, and then basically click on any of the above. You don't have to. Typically, it defaults to all or the featured. Uh, you can click through those if you want, and it really doesn't matter the dollar amount because what we're only looking to do is download a roster. So we pick the first one on the list. Um, we select draft team, and we'll have this screen that comes up here. At this point, we don't want you to pick any particular golfers in this category here. If you look below the list of all the players, there is a button which is export to CSV. This is how we get the roster in this form here to a spreadsheet that we can use to do mathematical and statistical analysis on. So we click on export to CSV. What happens is up in your browser, you will see the DK salaries. Yours will probably be number one. I've downloaded recently 33 of these different lineups in my endeavors to uh, show how we use statistical analysis. Uh, we can go out to the folder where that's located. Typically, it downloads it to your uh, downloads. So in this particular uh, downloads here, it's number 33. We click on that, double click, and it will allow you, if you have Microsoft Excel installed, to and here's the form that is produced when you do this. They do not include statistics on such things as you see in the lineup, how many cuts they've made. They do include two valuable pieces of information, which is what we want to glean from this roster. We don't need all of the noise. So I'm going to show you quickly how to get rid of the noise. If you hover above the A column, the position is golf. It's carried throughout. It's useless information. We know we just downloaded a golf information. If you click on the A column, it highlights it. Then you right click and then you hit delete. So you take your cursor to delete, you hit the delete, it deletes that whole column. The new A column becomes the name plus the ID. So the ID is a particular value that DraftKings gives these golfers that we do not need. Um, what you can do is while you have A highlighted again, go ahead and click on it. If you move your cursor to the right, you can see like the plus symbol, which is actually the divider. If you left click the mouse button and hold it, you can drag this column over, make it larger until you see the whole, what's included in the whole column. You can do this for any column. Just click above it, wait, move the cursor until you see what is available, left click the mouse, hold it, and pull that column over so you can read it. So let's go back to A. We do not need this. We're going to highlight it. We're going to once again right click. We're going to go down to the delete and we're going to delete that column. Now it's starting to look a little cleaner now. We have a list of golfers and then we have their ID. We do not need, excuse me, we do not need the ID. So let's once again, we will right click on B, column B now, because we're keeping the current column A. We will right click, we'll go down to delete. We do not need that. Once again, their position, I assume with other sports that's a forward or a center or whatever position. In our particular case, they're all golfers. It's useless information. We highlight it. We once again right click. We go down to delete and we get rid of that. Now we've got a nice clean golfer salary. The game info, excuse me once again, the game info. Let's go ahead and expand that column. And how we expand it is we right click over the top, and if we want to make it wider, we just get the plus symbol, and which is actually a divider. So let's column C. We know it's the Wyndham Championship. It's just noise. We highlight that. We once again right click and we delete that. The team abbreviation, golf. Okay, we're in a golf. Once again, useless information. It would be really nice if DraftKings would include like how many cuts they made or some statistical information about the golfer that would be helpful. What they score, their average score, if they shoot 69 each week or if they shoot 71, would probably be helpful. They don't do that. They only give us this information here. We're going to delete once again that column, and here we go. The status, we show that one or two of the golfers have removed themselves from the status. So this is sort of a useless column for us. We can delete that. Now, here's where the important part comes in. Let's go ahead and we're going to once again click on the C column up there. We're going to left click the mouse. We're going to make that wider so that we can actually see the full average points per game. What I like to do here is once again right click. If you go above, if you're on the home button, you can you can put those. Excuse me once again. You can put all that information if you click on this column You can either left center or right center. I think it looks cleaner if we put it in the center versus the right. So we put it in the left. And as you can see, we have a nice clean column here. Now, what we want to do with this information to start with is we want to get an idea of how expensive these golfers are. According to DraftKings, they assign a salary to each golfer, and then the golfer over a season will have an average fantasy points per game. So when it says average points per game, that's how many fantasy points they average per game. If they're getting cut a lot, they're not finishing the tournaments, then that will be very low. If they are finishing and they make a lot of the cuts, then it will be high. Um, Cameron Young on this salary has the highest fantasy points per game, and thus his salary is equal to that. However, we can do a mathematical process here in column D. If you highlight the information in column D after the golfer, the salary, and the average points, we're going to divide those and we're going to see which golfers are producing the most points with the least amount of salary. So it's basically how valuable they are in producing points. It's a measurement. So it's a simple little measurement that you can do. Um, let's At the top of the bar, you'll see under draw page layout, we'll see formulas there. Click on formulas. Um, what I use for this is called the quotient. I've recently used quotient. If you haven't, you can hit insert functions and you can go through the list or type in. We're looking for the one that says quotient. You can find that. If you have any trouble, just shoot me an email or a uh, chat, and we will show you how to get there. But basically, we go to formulas. We want to divide the numerator, the salary, which is in column B, and it's the number 2. So we're doing it for this column. Cameron Young is the column we're trying to figure out. So you can either click on B2 and it enters it into your formula, or you can type out B2. Then on the denominator, we click on denominator. We can click on C2 or we can type it in. So let's just click on it. So we've got B2 over C2. It's 125. We hit OK. Now, the beauty of Excel spreadsheets is once you have a formula, you can drag this box down and it will calculate for every single golfer in this lineup, which is 100 and how many do we have this round? So there are 142 golfers that are entered into the tournament. So let's do that. So we see the 125 there. You have to hover over until you get just the plus mark. It's right in the lower right corner. We left click the mouse and hold it. Then we drag down the box like this. So what this is doing, it's going to run that same formula. It's going to divide the salary by the average fantasy points per game. And we'll see when we release the button, the left click, it comes up with a figure of for each golfer and what we see. When we return to the top here, the most applicable salary functions are the golfers that are at the top of the list. Typically, as we get down at the bottom of the list, this becomes less relevant, just due to the number of tournaments that the golfers playing in or the where they're playing at. So the relevancy of this in our statistical measurement is how well it reflects uh, the value that the players have. So in our case, 125, that number there represents Cameron Young's, how many, if you multiply column D by the average points per game, that's his salary. So um, obviously, if we change that, um, it would it would come up with a different number. But the value of these is the fact that some are more expensive than others. So if we look at Ben Griffin down here at 140, that's expensive. If we look at Cameron Young compared to Griffin, he's less expensive. So the best, in our case, the best value is a players that cost less per point. If we look at it in that formula, so Maverick McNeely at 125. Out of this list, there are two golfers that are 122. Ryan Gerard. So a lot of times, what I'll do, and I'll upload these to the website, is I'll select the ones that have an apparent good recommendation because of their cost. Their cost is lower. Here is one that's very good, 115 for Alex Fitzpatrick. So we put a markation by that. We'll go down to Meissner. Here's a really good one here. Keith Mitchell seems very good. Um, this one, Gim, seems good. Blades Brown seems like it is one of the best ones that we've come across here. So what I do with this roster typically is I don't necessarily, if we go back to the home button, um, we can use these various colors. So in spreadsheets, this is kind of useful sometimes. If you highlight the whole row, which basically you could do it for that one, we'll do it for Blades Brown. We'll click on the number 24 there, as you see. It highlights the whole row. We can go up and make that blue or any other color. Uh, I like to use the blue for good, and actually I'll use sometimes blue with the green for various players, and I'll put the ones that really are exceptional in green, and which kind of reflects what we will see. If you don't like what you um, colored in, you can go back up here to the arrow and undo it. That was the blue. If you see where I'm at the top left page, there's an undo. So if you make a mistake in an Excel spreadsheet, it's easy to undo whatever markings you've made. You can keep going back and remove the X's or whatever else you wish to do. But typically, this is how I'll leave the roster at twager.com. When you go up, you're able to if you go to the website, you can just get the basic roster, or what I call the PAR roster, which is a pro analytical roster. The pro analytical roster involves a lot more statistical analysis. So I'm going to compare my PAR roster, which basically started as a CSV format from DraftKings. So I pulled in the salaries, the average points, then the math that I used started. Uh, uh, this is how I use robotic process automation and artificial intelligence to pull in the scores. Uh, this is the expected points. This is a predictive model that I use. The math that's involved in this is sort of the secret sauce that goes into the formulas that I use. Uh, there's a residual point, which we'll probably not explain on this particular. We're just trying to get the basic roster download. You can do the same thing with mathematical functions and pulling in what I use for my pro analytical rosters is this is an older version. It's not really the secret sauce, but it has basically what's pulled in and what mathematical processes go into building the formula that we use to basically the PAR score, the Pro Analytical Roster score. So the secret sauce and the main thing that we want to concentrate on, um, and what I've proven through multiple versions of this and using statistical analysis to back up how well, basically the goal of my entire operation is to prove that DraftKings statistical analysis is not as good, that their salary arrangement for players is way off. And the further it is off, the better our score, our PAR score, will reflect it. So once again, you see the blue and the green. Um, I've basically made this roster even more valuable because I've assigned the PAR rank, which is basically um, the lower the score, the better. So minus 19.9 is the best score, or the most differential score that's different from DraftKings, which shows that they've made an exceptional error in calculating the player. It doesn't mean necessarily how well these players do. This is statistical analysis for educational purposes only, which I will reiterate uh, in our disclaimer. If you have time, read that closely, but we're not saying anything other than they're making errors in their predictive models, and we're pointing those out. So minus 19 is the biggest one. We would rank that as number one. So as you go down through here, you will see 1 through 10 is green. So the biggest errors are in green, and then we go 10 through 20 in the blue. So basically, the top 20 errors are pointed out. Um, number 20 being the highest that we'll rate. You can see, even though every single golfer has a number of mismatch from DraftKings. So the measurement here is how badly DraftKings is at predictive salaries for order of finish. What we do is, after this is complete and the tournament's over, we run this model. We run our pro analytical roster through, excuse me again, we run the pro analytical roster through statistical analysis to see how well we actually predict that DraftKings is not very good at picking salaries. So this is uh, this is basic how to use. Excuse me, one more time. How to use our predictive models and how to use our pro analytical roster and Excel spreadsheets for statistical analysis. And this is, we can go a little more in depth. This is just a basic, um, what we want you to gather from this particular video is how to download a roster from DraftKings as a start for your analytical process journey. Uh, you can do all kinds of mathematical formulas on this. You can use your own statistics, play around with the various formula. You can do simple addition, you can do subtraction, you can do averages, you can do different sums of figures and percentages to see if you can have the same success that we've had. If you come up with a great formula for predictive models and you think that it's valuable, then you can post it. We'll be glad to discuss that with you or have our formula. We're always open. We change our formula every week according to the course and the weather and the players. Uh, the analysis is not. DraftKings is so unsuccessful at predictive salaries, and oftentimes that they are not very. The correlation between the salaries and the player finish and how well they do is not um, very accurate. We prove that. We have something called our ACE engine, which is basically if you click on that page, it's an accuracy correlation engine. Um, we use a Spearman rank correlation and some other formulations to determine how well our predictive model is versus and it's strictly, we're not picking on one particular uh, venue. DraftKings is only one venue that we model uh, throughout. What we find is they copy each other. Most of these, if you go to different other wagering venues, you'll find the same thing. But uh, the last thing I want to do here is once again reiterate this is for learning purposes. We had this disclaimer of what we're trying to do here is show you how to build a website. We're trying to show you how to do a lot of different things in graphic design. We go into in-depth analysis of how we use Grok for this particular uh, slide here. We actually use Grok to produce different things, our YouTube descriptions, and basically the players. This week's players that we've shown in that roster, you can see the top ranking mistakes that DraftKings made based on their salary and how far they are off. Um, so we hope this is useful to you. We're going to end this stream right now. I'm going to in a few minutes upload and go over this week's par roster for the Wyndham Championship and point out the what we're showing right here in more depth. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe and like, we'll have another video up in a few minutes here. We'll go live with our roster, and then when the tournament starts, we'll be live with some analysis of how well our prediction model is working. Thank you for your time.